Hello everyone and welcome to a game that pretty much just ended. It's from the simultaneous exhibition Judit held against 10 other communities, our community being only one of them. And you guys requested this game because it's not only a great game to show, it's also a game that you guys played. So we had to decide on the format, how are we going to suggest moves. Other streamers implemented this technique of actually having a voting system. But I thought that this might be a bit too convenient for someone to check a move and then just vote for that move. So I thought you guys just write moves in the chat, and I'm gonna play the one that looks the most interesting, the most daring, So it's a combined effort, like Judit wanted it to be, but also I think that it was the most interesting one, and also quite fair. So let's see what happened here and how the game went. It's quite a short game, so I'm sure you guys will enjoy it. So Judith has the white pieces and she opens with e4, as she usually does. We played c5. There was some discussion whether to go for e5 or c5. We decided to go for the Sicilian defense. Knight to f3 and knight to c6. There was a lot of discussion on maybe to play the dragon Sicilian, which Judith of course would enjoy attacking very much. But in the end, after d4, Judith goes for the open Sicilian, c captures, knight captures. We decided to go for this Löwenthal variation of e5. It's a very, very interesting way to play. Currently not considered all that impressive for black, but this is what the community decided. So knight to b5, going after that d6 square, and of course d6 now. So playing in the style of Morphy versus Anderson, the Kalashnikov variation is on the board. We have c4 now. Judith grabs full control over the d5 square, and here we decided to fully make the game explode, and we played f5. And this is not just a great move, it's also a pawn sacrifice. It doesn't have to be, but it is. It's not really a great move, it's more of a great move, as we wanted to have a really active position, but Judith just captures the pawn, and now we played knight to f6. Interestingly, you could go for bishop captures on f5, and this is sort of even encouraged. Then white continues with bishop to d3. You can play something like bishop back to e6, and then the game continues. However, we wanted to play the most active way possible in the style of old masters. So we played knight to f6, and Judith just defends the pawn. She plays bishop to d3. And what are we to do now? Well, we chase away Judith's knight with a6. We have knight to c3 and bishop to e7 now. Now we might even consider the castle king side, but she just plays g4. She says, all right, I invite you to castle king side, and then you will have to deal with some consequences later on. Okay, we played h6. There was some discussion of maybe playing h5, but h6 keeps the game close for the moment. But also her king is on e1, and if she castles king side, then she might not be able to attack on the king side so comfortably. So here she just played bishop to e3, and we, after some discussion, decided that it was best to strike in the center with d5. Usually we say if you can push d5 as you play the Sicilian and not lose the game, you're going to have a great game. And it seems like the correct thing to do. I mean, captures, 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 captures. Your queen is nicely centralized on d5. You're attacking the rook on h1. What could go wrong? However, after c captures on d5, we played knight captures on d5. And now the game is completely winning for Judith. So feel free to pause the video and win the game for Judith while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting this insta-brilliancy. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is of course pawn to f6. That's the stuff. The idea is that we are pushing this pawn with tempo, and we are threatening bishop to g6. And bishop to g6 is, well, just a terrible move for black to face, because let's say you capture this. What is the threat? Well, just bishop to g6, and now you have this knight attacked twice. Once the king moves or you play something, we just pick up the knight, and that's it. We're up a piece. And another thing, after f6, what else can you do? very unpleasant. You play bishop to b4, f captures, and g7. Your entire position falls apart. I mean, there's just no way for you to play this. Bishop g6 check is coming, bishop captures, and h6 is coming, so everything is falling apart. However, Judit did not play this. Interestingly, after knight captures on d5, she played knight captures on d5, and we just played queen captures on d5. And this was yeah, much better than I thought that could happen. I did not see the f6 idea. Some people were writing that she has f6 in the chat, but I imagine those were extremely strong players in the chat. And now it seemed like our position all of a sudden got a lot better. We have a beautifully centralized queen on d5. We're attacking the rook on h1. Once the rook moves or she castles or whatever, we can continue development. And after some consideration, she decided to castle. Rook to g1 is the other way to go. You still kind of retain the idea of just pushing on the king's side, but she castled here, and now all of a sudden we felt much safer. But now it's time to play this precisely, and we continued with knight to b4. We attacked the bishop here on d3. And now she has to move it. Bishop to e2 is played. Bishop to c2 also works, but it looks kind of weird putting it on c2 where the knight can capture it. So at least she's up a pawn. At least you know, you should keep the bishop pair. And now we have to trade here, and the game goes on. For example, if queen captures on d1, she has to play bishop captures on d1 to guard the c2 square. Otherwise, knight to c2 just picks up the exchange, and now we continue playing this game. It's not easy, but you know, it's definitely something. Let's say h5 can be played. We want to open up the h file for our rook. She has to defend. Captures. Now bishop d7. We want to get something out of this position. Now let's say knight d2, keeping an eye on this f3 square, and the game continues. Even ideas like bishop to b5 are in the position. Now as the knight is strongly placed here, rook e1, knight here, we could even maybe win the exchange. After bishop to f3, let's say knight captures, rook captures, and now castles queenside. And white will always be better here. The bishop pair is incredibly impressive. Black also has the bishop pair, it's just that white's bishop pair is a bit stronger. Rook can grab the open c file and c1. So white will be better here, but not by a lot. And this was our only way of playing this. And we did discuss queen captures on d1 a lot, but then after some careful consideration, we decided to play bishop to d7 first. We said, okay, maybe it's just best to allow her to capture our queen, and then we want to put the bishop on this diagonal as soon as possible. But we kind of overlooked that after knight to c3, now after queen captures on d1, which is pretty much forced, you don't want to put the queen on some silly square, and there really aren't any impressive squares. After capturing, just rook a captures on d1. Now the problem is bishop to d1 no longer has to be played, and now she has full development. And now what do you play here? Well, you could go for knight c2, which is kind of what you need to do to try and remaneuver the knight into the game, maybe threaten this bishop a little bit, but still she can play bishop b6, and it's a very ugly position for black to play. So instead we played bishop to c6, grabbing hold of this diagonal, and now it's a completely winning position for Judit. The problem is there's this a3 move, and our knight has no squares, or rather our knight has the c2 square, but that's why she just plays knight to d2, takes away the c2 square from our knight, and now there's really not all that much we can play. If rook to d8, she can just double up, rook f to d1, rook captures on d2, rook captures, and after something like bishop to d7, because we have to make room for our knight, then bishop to f3. We lose control of this diagonal. And again, it's much better for white. So instead we played a5 for the lack of a better move, just trying to free up the a6 square for our knight, but now just a3, knight to a6, and here knight to d5, and there really is no good move here. Our only counterplay was, or so we thought, as we were down a pawn, we wanted to have our bishop pair to be extremely impressive and her bishop pair to be not so impressive, but in the end it's the other way around. So rook to d8 was played, now rook f to d1. And here we really don't have any more moves. We decided to trade on d5, and here after rook captures on d5, we gracefully resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. We are down a pawn, we are losing at least another pawn. She can completely mess up our pawn structure, but also what can you even play here? Let's say you defend this pawn. bishop to b5 check is coming. Where is the king going? King f7, rook to d7. Look at this. This completely boxes in the king. I mean, there is nothing you can do. King goes here, rook captures on b7. Then the knight is hanging. Then this bishop is occupying this diagonal. I mean, so many ideas for white and zero ideas for black. So after rook captures on d5 on move 23, our community resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. So you can see what an incredibly sharp line this is, and even after Judit allowed us back into the game, she didn't play this extremely forcing f6 move. We failed to take this gift, and we squandered it away, blundering the game terribly in only 23 moves. So there you have it. And of course, you always have to remember Judit wasn't only playing against us; she also was playing against 10 other communities, and also there is a world board where the entire world is playing. The game is still going on, so I imagine it will be going on for quite some time, as even after I upload this video. So the link to the game will be in the description below. You can join and input your own moves, so you can be a part of that game as well, as I will probably be analyzing that game as well. So thank you all for joining in. Thank you for helping us try and fight Judit, but as you've seen, that is no small feat. She completely destroyed us, and well, just a very, very fine game with white against the Sicilian defense in this very sharp Lowenthal Kalashnikov variation. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I would like to thank James Maybury for wishing Medo a very happy birthday. Timo Salo Kojo Owushu, Lucas Falaco Radaleli, and Christy Maloney for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and continuing, of course, the Charity Cup. So thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.